Board meeting of the EVIT School Board. We are going to begin by having a pledge of the flag. Mr. Covington, would you like to lead that?
That's why I stood up.
Right on the row.
I pledge
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, that brings us to item 3, recruiter's presentation. Dr. Wilson, you're going to launch that?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the governing board, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity tonight to share with you a department in our organization that is truly impactful in us being able to become who we expect ourselves to be. I've said this before that, we're everybody's home district, but we're nobody's home district. And in order to try to get traction and get our message out, we rely on individuals who are invested in recruiting our students all across the East Valley. And so we've asked our recruiting team to come here tonight and provide you kind of an update on the good work that they're doing. And so I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Francis. You all may remember her. She worked with us a number of years ago and is back again. So Katie, take it away.
I remember her. Testing. Good evening, Mr. President and members of the governing board. Me and my team are so excited to present to you about our recruiting strategies and tell you kind of what we have in the works for this year. The marketing team works to elevate EVIT by increasing awareness through all of our stakeholder relationships, be it students, parents, schools, administration, community events, EVIT staff. And today we're going to be presenting our recruitment strategy calendar to you so that you can better visualize our efforts on and off of the EVIT campus. So Ms. Norris passed out our strategy calendar, and it is a little small. I apologize, but I wanted to be able to fit everything on one side. And I'm going to begin by going through a few main highlights on the calendar that we have outlined. Basically, you can see across the top it's divided into quarters and then in the months, and then you can see where our recruitment efforts are on the left-hand side, and then what months we carry out those specific things. And it's not excluded just to this calendar. There may be months where we do include doing that thing somewhere else, but this is a general synopsis for you. The first thing I want to highlight is our high school presentations, which is about a fourth of the way down, and we do those in we focus on the our regular high schools and some of our charter schools, and we do those in the fall. And the main reason that those presentations are targeted in the fall is because we start registering for classes here at EVIT on November 1st. So we try to get the main presentations to the sophomore students before that happens. Some of it's going to lag a little bit afterwards. And then the high school registrations at their home campus begin right after winter break. And so we want to make sure that we've talked to all of the sophomore students that would be registering for their junior year prior to when they register at their high school. But the next one you'll see is our junior high presentations and the tours, and we do focus on those in the spring. And that gives them a little bit of time before they start in high school. We can give awareness of skills and careers. We can excite them for high school and get them excited about EVIT and help them prepare their schedules as they enter high school and get that on their mind as they plan their schedules. We also are still doing the tours with the high schools, and we try to do those in the fall that are going to be close to when they've had presentations. A little bit, about halfway down, you'll see high school events, and this one is year-round. We do those even in the summer, and those can be anything from something that the school has scheduled to the community, and there are different avenues to build relationships with counselors and parents and students. We're able to reach students that we may not have otherwise been able to talk to before, and it increases our brand awareness. So we really feel like those are a good place to go as well. One thing you'll see as we go further down the list, some of the items have an asterisk next to them, and those are new opportunities that we have been developing since the start of the school year to increase relationship building with our schools and counselors and students. So one of those I want to highlight is about 3/4 of the way down is the fall registration days. And this is something that we're going to be doing that is new. Since we have registration on November 1st, we're going to have a registration day here and one at the Power Campus, similar to the ones we did in the summer, the one that we did in the summer. For students to come and register. We thought this would be a great way to reach out to students and parents that might have questions about the registration process, to be able to answer questions, help them, and build and solidify that relationship with the students that will be attending and their parents. So we're going to try doing that, and hopefully, if it works well, we'll do it in the spring and the summer as well. You'll see all of those events listed on the left-hand side. The last thing I want to highlight before I let my team members come join me is the very last thing that is another thing that we plan to implement is new enrollment communication. We do not stop recruiting once the students sign up to come to EVIT. We want to continue our efforts and help make sure that they are here on the first day of school. And so we're working on developing a strategy to further enhance our communication efforts with students once they enroll and keep them excited about attending and help get them here in their class the first day. And so we'll explain that as we further develop that, but that's one thing we're really excited about too. I'm going to turn the microphone over to my teammate, Tarnisha, and each of the recruiters are going to tell you about the regions that they represent and they are building relationships in, and kind of a little bit more about that.
Good evening. My name is Tarnisha Tilson. I am a recruiter here at EVIT. In my district that I'm responsible for conducting recruitment outreach and things like that is for the Chandler and Tempe district, which consists of about 12 high schools collectively and 20 junior high schools collectively. And so one of the successes I would like to share about our recruitment efforts so far is the outreach to junior high and middle school. So we've started doing career exploration to our junior high and middle school students to inform them of the possibilities and the careers that they can learn more about at EVIT once they are in high school, and it's been very successful. They've managed to send me thank you letters, cards, and notes. I have so many of them, and one I would like to share with you tonight is from Ava. She attended Baldwin Junior High School. She was an 8th grade student. Dear Ms. Tilson, thank you so much for coming to visit us at Baldwin Junior High School. Your presentation was very informational for me. I will definitely be applying for the Human Anatomy course junior year and the occupational program or the physical therapy program senior year. Thank you so much for helping me with career opportunities. Ava, 8th grade, Baldwin Junior High, 1/12/2021. So I think it's great that we are reaching them younger, and this is something we're looking forward to continuing to do. And so once we go into the high schools, they still see our face and they thank you. I remember you from junior high. I remember you from middle school, and just continue to keep that relationship with them. So that's one of the great success I wanted to share with you all about what we're working on. Thank you.
A little bit taller. There we go. Good evening. My name is Chastain Duarte, and I am a recruiter here at EVIT. I have several smaller school districts. So unlike Tarnisha with the two who have much larger schools, I have Combs, Higley, Gilbert, Apache Junction, as well as Queen Creek. And then one of the interesting things about my region is I do have several of the larger charters. So I have all 3 American Leadership Academy schools. Those 3 campuses send just about the same amount of students as a Mesa High School or a Tempe High School. So they're usually averaging somewhere 80 to 115, 120 students per their campus. So a good percentage of their students in the past have attended EVIT. I also have two of the other larger charters, Heritage Academy Gateway Campus and Ben Franklin Charter. So I came from charter before I came to EVIT. Last year, my focus was on charters, so I was able to build some relationships with some smaller charters and a success, I feel. I've had a couple of charters who never provided a van or a bus or anything like that, due to my recruiting efforts, are now providing transportation at least one way to EVIT.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for having us. My name is Mark McCann, and I am in charge of recruiting the Scottsdale, Mesa, Cave Creek, and Fountain Hills districts, so kind of the north region, if you will. We are so proud of the efforts that we've done and got a lot to learn that we're excited about as well. Being kind of new in this role, this is our first time really completing the recruiting cycle for the three of us recruiters, and then having Katie come in and come along as a kind of a team lead. We have fresh eyes to really look at the recruiting cycle and all of our processes through a new lens. We're really focused on the importance of building a foundation to start this recruiting cycle, to start our efforts going forward as we go through the whole recruiting school year. I think the big thing for us is really getting into those every school to every high school, every charter school, and now branching out to middle schools as well, as Tarnisha mentioned, and establishing those relationships. The more we can build foundations and kind of get the foot in the door with a lot of our sending schools, the better off we're going to have those opportunities when those events come up. We're going to get more information about their communities, how we can best serve those school districts. So we're really excited about getting our foot in the door with those new schools. Some of the old schools with new faces. There's a lot of change that we've faced since coming back from COVID, and it's been a bit of an adjustment time that we've had to focus on getting in-person presentations, focus on getting schools here on campus for tours, but we're so grateful for all of the schools and all of their hard work to do, face the challenges that they are going through to make those things happen, and really build out that relationship there. So, anything that we can do to gain access and engagement to our high school sophomores specifically, and then building out juniors and seniors as we go. And then also just increasing that brand awareness from middle school on up, so they know, hey, I want to set up my schedule so that I can attend EVIT my junior and senior year. So we're really proud of the efforts that we've gone, and we know we have a long ways to go that we want to keep improving, and I think we're just excited about the whole process. So with that being said, I'll turn it back to our team lead. Thank you.
And with that, do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do. I met some of you when I was taking a tour out at the Power Campus. Thank you. I need help all the time. And I went to a conference about recruiting kids and stuff like this. And I wonder if you have much hands-on activities with them instead of just PowerPoints and lectures and things like that. Because because we're all hands-on, that's what our education is. If, you bring them in here during the summer. Are we on a year-round calendar now?
We're going to come back to you with that opportunity at the end of the month.
Okay. They had a meeting last month, and I wasn't here, and they talked about it. But, during the summer's a key time. You've got these different fall breaks and spring breaks. I'm sure some of the teachers would, especially when they're having a hard time filling their classes, would love to have a little bit of hands-on and stuff like this, because I really think that's pretty important. Or do you already do some hands-on stuff? And I'm just blabbing about it.
It is awesome that you brought that up, because we were just talking about that today. About possibly developing something for the summer. We haven't talked it over with Dr. Wilson or even what our possibilities are, but I know that things have been tried in the past, and we're looking at developing some kind of thing, hopefully in the summer. In terms of interactive presentations, Mark is a former teacher, and I know from what how they have shared what their presentations are like. They're nothing boring and very interactive and in terms of the setting that they're presenting in. So I do know that he's brought a lot of his teaching tools to how they are interacting with students when they are presenting. But yes, we have talked about several different opportunities and trying to get students to campus through summer camps or something like that. So we're gonna further develop that and talk with Dr. Wilson.
Listen, please.
Yes.
I have a comment. I was college career specialist in one of the city and school districts, so I know your challenge of getting in there and fighting the push for the university for students. So I appreciate you guys' efforts to go in there and keep on helping these students with an actual career path and not just shoving them into a university. What I love on this list is the community events, the town festivals, the holiday events, the parades, all of that stuff, because the parents that I talk to, they want to know, how come we don't know more about this? We go to these community events, how come they're not out here? How come they don't have a table? That kind of, so I love to see this on your list because that's where the parents are going to be educated when you're out there at the, whatever, lemonade stand or whatever it is that they have in Queen Creek, kind of, all of those community where you're actually going to get to talk to the parents. Also, I had some parents reach out and ask if EVIT does any parent recruitment, like where the parents can volunteer and invite parents into their home of students who are parents that have students that go here who want to educate other parents. It's an idea. I know that's probably not. It's, I don't know, maybe you have students that would have parents who would be willing to have, I don't know, we call them meet and greets, where you could have somebody come in and inform somebody about, whatever for EVIT.
That's a great idea. Thanks. We kind of have explored a few options just in talks about maybe doing more, bringing in family or community parents, mothers, whatever, to hopefully organize them. And we've talked about also utilizing social media and some of the Facebook groups that are now back and doing really well since COVID, and maybe starting something up with that. So we're aware of that situation and it's on our radar of things to explore. And thank you for your input because now we can go further with it. Anything else?
So, Mr. President, members of the governing board, three quick things. One of the things I'm so appreciative, and Tarnisha brought it up, in recruitment in the middle schools. And I know that seems odd, but the idea of growing the system matters. And we talk all the time about changing lives and serving our communities. And obviously we want students to come here because we believe we can change their life. But the story that was read tonight, whether that student comes here or not, they now have a better understanding or a different understanding of what's possible. And that's part of what we do. So the fact that we're into the middle schools, I'm very, very grateful for. It's a lot of extra work on the plates of the recruiters, but it's fantastic. Chastain talked about the charter schools. When we looked at the student enrollment, I want to say the charter school enrollment is maybe 17% of our total enrollment. And so at one point in time when we talked about, well, it's just kind of, that's not the case. Charters are a significant number of students that come here. So for us to be able to continue to lean into and support them, just like we were our partnering districts, I think just makes total sense. And Mark was very kind in talking about the difference between now post-COVID and during COVID. There was a lot of recruitment that needed to change during the COVID period of time because of all the parameters, and that was good. Some of the challenges are kind of trying to revert back to what it was before. And so we're having some challenges with some of our districts, and Mark is correct, we're very grateful for those who are working hard to help us. But nothing beats us getting in and being in front of students. And so the more we can do that, the better. And just so you know, this group has their pots full on the high school side, and we're going to be coming to you in the near future with an adult ed recruiter, because this bandwidth is full and we need to bring some support in for the adult ed. So, Kate, I'm very appreciative of the work that you guys are doing and the perspective that you're bringing to the team. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I love going into the middle school and building that because sports do it. You
Yeah,
start
of
with,
course they do.
your wrestling programs start growing in middle school and then they transfer over into the high school, so it makes sense.
Junior high is really important, because if you can get them hooked there, even if they don't get in high school, they can still come to the adult education, especially with the high school stuff. Almost think high school is almost too late.
It is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And the parent too,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I also wanted to mention that one of our, actually, we had a middle school tour that Tarnisha put together last year with multiple programs. I led the tour through plumbing, and they had a plumbing hands-on demonstration. So each one of the programs did have those hands-on demonstrations. And I think I totally agree that that's something where we can really elevate our tours, and we want to look at how we can do that without invading class time and class instruction as well. So thinking about that during the summer, I think, is a great suggestion.
Yeah, and besides having teachers there, having students help with the presentation really is a bonus, you know?
Well, I think parents, I mean, at the middle school, by the time, to your point, Mr. Covington, by the time a student is 16 years old, parental involvement isn't what it is when the student is 12 years old or 13 years old. And so having the ability to lean into parents at that same time at middle school kind of sets the stage. We know that parents are the biggest advocate for getting students here. And so if we can get on parents' radar in 7th and 8th grade, that will only help them understanding opportunities by the time the student hits the high school. So I'm very appreciative of the work that our recruiter and recruitment department is doing, and we'll bring them back towards the end of the year and talk about the progress.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That brings us to item 4 on our agenda. We have two different items. 4A is the regular meeting minutes for September 26, 2022. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes.
Okay, thank you. And Lamar, Mr. Watkins got the second. Do we have any corrections, concerns, edits we need to do? Questions? Okay. Hearing none, Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Yes, Hart?
Aye.
Luke? Aye. Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
All right. All right. Welcome, Mr. Hobson. I didn't see you sneak in up there.
Yeah, me neither. Wow.
Sorry, I was stuck in my other meeting.
Uh-huh. Well, thank you for participating. Item 4B would be the minutes of a special meeting held on September 29th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion and a second for that.
I move to approve the minutes of the special meeting that was held on October 22.
September 29th.
September 22,
perhaps?
sorry, we haven't gotten to October 22 yet. But I can hardly wait to get there.
Yeah, I bet.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Oh, it's just a minute, I need to amend my motion. I said September 22, and it should have been September 29.
29th, yes, 2022.
Sorry.
Okay.
Wrong all the way around.
That was all kind of wrong.
But
It
my
was someday,
motion-
it was one of those days. out
Someday in September,
Yeah.
but my intent is there, so.
there. Okay. Mrs. Boggs?
Hart?
Aye.
Luke?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Abstain?
Watson?
Aye.
And Hobson?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay.
No voice.
Next item is item 5, a call to the public. Have we received any requests to speak before
sir,
the
we
board
have not.
today? Okay. That brings us to item 6, our consent agenda. All items will be considered as a group and will be approved with one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. So today we have 6A through H. And I'll entertain motion in a second. Or if we have something that needs to be pulled.
I don't want to pull it, but I'm dying to know something about the meeting in Grapevine, Texas after it happens, so I'm sorry. Yeah,
We'll have to have Mr. Howell here. Bring that up in the
Great.
Interesting.
I'm here at the place.
Okay.
So we're A through H?
Yeah,
I move that we approve consent agenda items A through H.
okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions? Hearing none. Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote? please?
Hart?
Aye.
Luke?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, it brings us to item 7A and B, personnel request. Entertain a motion. I think we can combine both of those, A and B.
Move that we approve items A and B under item 7.
I'd like to learn more about B.
Okay,
Well,
we'll
separate.
consider them separately. Would you like to restate your motion, Mr. Hobbs?
Move the approval of item A.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Hart. Any discussion from anyone on item A? Ms. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Yes. Hart?
Aye.
Luke? Aye. Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Aye.
Watson?
Did you
Oh,
say Watkins?
Sorry, Watkins. I'm so sorry.
Aye.
Hobson.
Aye for me.
Mr. Hobson's an aye. All
I've
right,
said-
so that brings us to 7B. We'll need a motion and a second, and then we can discuss that.
So moved, item B.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second.
All right.
Someone discuss it. Not really. Can you give us an overview, please?
Mr. Covington,
Yes, sir.
are your questions?
I just want an overview of kind of the history of why we need this and, you know, a little background on it.
Sure, so I'm going to ask Ms. Perez to kind of describe the position, and then I'll fill in at the end.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Wilson. This is a new position that we're requesting in our marketing and recruitment, and I know Ms. Francis just left, but this would be in addition to her team, and it's basically to add someone that brings the expertise of that multimedia to be able to do videos and photographs so that we can enhance our presence in our social media, our website and such. In the past, we've had a communication specialist in a similar role, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to fill that position, so we want to be able, we revised the job description and modified it to include additional duties so that, and then enhance just the scope in general so that we would be able to find someone that would be more qualified to assist us in that role.
And is it, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Perez, because I very well could be, there was a position similar but not quite that no longer is here, and we didn't fill that position.
Correct.
So this is replacing a position but actually adding more responsibility to that position?
Correct.
I like it.
I assume they'll be able to help with recruiting.
Yeah, in today's digital world, they're
Yeah.
absolutely going to be able to help with recruiting. And truth be told, as you see in the job description, they'll report to the high school recruiter, but they're also going to lean in and support the adult ed. As we begin building out our associate degree program, obviously, part of what we've got to better understand and unpack is how do we recruit adults? Because that has been an area that we have not been strong in, and this individual will help with that project as well.
All right. Do we already have a person in mind, or this is
No, this
something
is-
we're going to put out there?
Yeah, we're going to post it. Yep. Can't post it till we get the position approved.
Okay.
Ms. Perez, you haven't heard this for some time. Can we afford this new position or replacing of this person?
Yes.
I thought you'd like that. Most of the board members don't know where that came from, but thank you.
All righty. Any further discussion? Ms. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Hart?
Aye.
Luke? Aye. Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Aye.
Watkins?
I think you said Watkins. Aye.
Hobson? I did.
Aye.
All right. Moving along, we have a couple of policy issues. Item 8A is a policy revision, second read. Mr. Kelble, will you fill us in on that?
Do
Where
we need to have a
stand on it?
motion?
Thank you, Mr. Arlene.
Don't we need to have a motion?
Do we? I think, don't we
Don't
need
we
a
have to
motion?
have a motion for discussion?
You're absolutely right. You got the cart before the horse there. I guess I need to entertain a motion and a second.
I'll approve the policy, second read policy revision, and that we can vote on it and accept it.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Keppel.
These are the same ones we presented the last meeting. All we've done is replace principal with program director and business manager with chief financial officer. No substantive changes other than the nomenclature.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
And you're also going to get rid of the EBDs and all that stuff and everything.
And that is a step down the road.
Step down the road.
This is a baby step on the way.
Okay,
It's
baby step,
coming.
and then that'll be next step, okay.
Yeah. All right. Hearing nothing further, Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Hart.
Aye.
Luke. Aye. Lane.
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington.
Aye.
Watkins.
Aye.
Hobson.
Aye.
Okay. Item 8B is the annual financial report for fiscal year 21-22.
Thank you.
We haven't received that, have we? Okay. I think before we move it forward, though, I think it's appropriate for this one to have some information on it, since this is the first thing we've seen so far. Mrs. Perez?
I feel like I see them every week.
Thank you. Each year, we're required to submit an annual financial report, which in essence is a summary of all revenue and expenses for the school year. This is through June 30th of 2022. What I have here is just a quick summary. All revenue, as you can see from this presentation, is about 89% of the revenue comes from three primary funds. It's our M&O, our classroom site fund, and our capital expenditure fund. The rest of them, the remaining 11%, come from federal, state grants, as well as other special revenue funds, such as our enterprise accounts, our rental fees, and such. We had about a little bit under $64 million in revenue come in. We had expenses of about $85 million. In that, the main difference that you see from prior years is that our expenses are associated with the expansion out at the Power Campus. That's why you see the expenses higher than the revenue come in. This just gives you a breakdown of those expenses by percentage. Our maintenance and operation consists of that 53% of the overall budget. We have of overall expenses, with 35% being that unrestricted capital that I mentioned that are mostly associated with the Power Campus expansion. Given that our M&O is our largest budget, I wanted to give you a little bit of a further breakdown of that. Of the $45 million expenses, 62% consist of satellite payments, the pass-through to our satellite payments. So when you look at the overall of revenue that comes in, and 44% of that revenue is basically passed through to those satellite districts. So just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. Then when you look at the rest of the M&O, salary and benefits are 13.4%, purchase services $2.6 million, I'm sorry, 13.4 million, 30%, 2.6 million, 6%, with supplies being 1.2 million, 2.6% of the overall M&O. This gives you a better highlight of the M&O expenditures once you take out the satellite funding that is passed through. When you look at the instructional support services, administration, central services, and plant operation, and also a comparison to the prior year. Giving you a little bit of a history in our M&O and how that relates to the last 5 years. Breaking it down again: salaries, benefits, satellite payments, purchase services, supplies, and then other services. Again, a lot of the increases, as you can see in here, are related more to the satellite pass-through payments. Any questions? Again, it's just a very high-level summary. There's a lot of detailed information, but it's basically a template that we have to use to report all expenses and revenue at the detail level.
All right.
Mr. President, can I ask so Ms. Perez, can you go back a slide? Is that possible? So, no, not that far, right there. So am I reading it right, that 2018, roughly 6.8 million was salary and benefits, in 2022, it is a little over 10 million?
Yes.
So, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think, in a 4-year period of time, or 6-year period of, 4-year period of time, to go up that amount, I think is a tribute to the work that you as a governing board have done. Is that fair for me to say?
Yes.
In an effort to try to remain and be competitive in the salary and compensation. And I think oftentimes that gets looked over and gets glossed over, the work that you guys have done to give our employees the opportunity that they have. So I wanted to make sure that that was recognized, that in a 4-year period of time, have increased the salary and benefits by $4 million. And I think that's not a small number. So thank you all for the work that you did to give folks in the organization that opportunity. And then, can you go back a couple more to the big pie? That one right there. So when you said 40, so the 62%, so 62% of the dollars that come in go to the satellite, that equates to about 44 million or 42 million or something like that?
So it was 44, it's 27.8 million, but it's 44% of the 63 million in
Got it.
total revenue.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a healthy growth rate for all of that, I think.
It is.
Over 5 years, it looks like we're hitting for 50% increase. So that's not bad. That's a good report.
It is. And that's a tribute to the work that you guys are willing to do. So thank you on behalf of the faculty and staff.
Well, wish it was that easy. Okay, I'll entertain a motion and a second.
We're supposed to sign. We
Do
don't
we have a
sign this,
calendar?
right?
What's that?
We don't sign this. We already have.
Don't we have A?
No, we don't. We've already considered A and passed that. We're on 8B.
Okay.
And we have not had a motion or a second. I asked for the report. I thought that would be appropriate to receive the report before we moved it. Now we can ask questions and tear it apart if we need to after we move it.
Approval.
So are you looking for a motion?
Yes, we are. Motion and a second.
I will move to approve, listen, anybody wants to jump in, feel free. Okay, I motion to approve 8B, the annual financial report for fiscal year 21-22.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion of this or questions that we have about this report that we've just received? Okay, hearing none. Mrs. Boggs, will you conduct a vote, please?
Yes. Hart?
Aye.
Luke? Aye. Lane?
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Covington?
Aye.
Watkins?
Aye.
Hobson?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. That brings us to staff reports. That's Dr. Wilson, that's you.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, I will make this brief. Just a couple updates for you. At our next regular scheduled meeting, we'll have a safety update. Mr. Fisher's been working with our team in soliciting information. We want to give you an update on where we're at, as well as resources that we're pursuing to help with that process. Mr. Imez will be here to give a foster update. I know, Mr. Covington, that was an issue that you wanted to bring up, and we'll be back to talk where we're at in terms of not only the foster student, but the build. My goals by contract need to be to you by the end of this week. You don't have to accept them by the end of this week. And so I will email you my goals, which are obviously can be altered by you, and we'll have that as an item in our next regularly scheduled meeting. We did the survey for the modified calendar versus traditional calendar, and both student, staff, and parent, the majority wished to move to a modified calendar, and so we're going to be surveying same population, asking which sort of modified calendar, because there's different versions of it. And we'll come back to you with a recommendation hopefully in November, as well as a recommendation to you for the return to work. That's the opportunity for individuals that are retiring to stay employed or stay connected to EVIT for a year after retirement before they come back as full-time EVIT employees, so that we don't lose the institutional knowledge because of retirement. So we're looking forward to the modified calendar, the return to work, the update on safety, foster, and my goals at our next regularly scheduled meeting. That's all I got, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you. And that meeting will be held
I believe the 24th.
October 24.
I would like to do this for Mr. Hobson, since he speaks about that meeting in Texas, that when Mr. Howell gets back in February, that we can have him at the later part of February, talk about all 3 conferences that he went to.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right. Okay, anything else we need to get on the
Oh,
calendar?
I do. I want to know if we have any updates on what we're doing for security.
Yeah, so that'll be
That
the
was one of the
safety,
items.
security, yeah.
Oh, did we say it
Same thing.
already? Sorry, I was reading.
Yeah. That was
Just so nice.
included.
I was reading, I wasn't reading my phone and a book.
Wasn't posting
Reading.
Facebook. or-
I wasn't doing Facebook.
All right, well, that brings us to item 10, or 10B, which will be a closing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're adjourned.